welcome to your evening yoga practice. We're going to start with a pranayama called Chandra Vedana. This is left nostril breathing. You can use your right thumb to control the flow of prana coming through your right nostril, and then you can either tuck your index finger and middle finger in, or you can rest them on your third eye, and then these other two smaller fingers will be for your left nostril. So you might look something like this or like this. As you're touching the nostrils, when you're letting the air flow in, just be gentle. You don't have to force the nostrils. So you can maintain contact with the flesh of your nostrils, whether you are plugging them or releasing them. So it's a very subtle and refined movement. So we'll start just by bringing your hand into position. Breathe in through both nostrils, and then exhale through both nostrils. Now please close your right nostril and breathe in through your left side. And then switch, exhale out the right. Inhale through the left. Exhale out the right. Inhale left. Exhale right. The breathing should be 1 to 1. Inhale through the left side for a 4 count perhaps. And then exhale through the right side for a 4 count. Inhale left nostril, 2, 3, 4. Exhale right nostril, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale left. Exhale right. Just continue on your own. A few more cycles. One more breath through the left side. And then release the nostril, exhale through both sides. And breathing in and all the way out. Good. From here, we're going to move into child's pose. From the position of hands and knees, take your knees a little farther apart, bring the big toe mounds together, and sink your hips back. This is the last pose that we did in our morning practice. So from here, just stretch your arms out. If you want to have some support underneath you, feel free. We're going to breathe here for 5 breaths. You can have your forehead resting on the ground, or take a cheek and then switch to the other cheek. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale and exhale. Nice diaphragmatic breaths. Moving the breath through the belly, the diaphragm, the upper chest, and letting it go. On your inhale, we'll come all the way back up. We're going to shift forward onto the belly. Stretch the legs out back behind you, and we're going to come into Sphinx pose. So shift your forearms forward so the elbows land just underneath the shoulders. Palms are down, lengthening up through the crown of the head. Keep the collarbones open and broad. Inhale and exhale. The eyes are soft, the gaze is steady. Continue to breathe nice and smooth. Keep the waves of inhale and exhale nice and even. We balance out the fluctuations of the breath. We can also balance out the fluctuations of thought, the waves of thought, bringing a more serene quality to the mind. So from here, we'll come back up to our hands and knees. And then we'll take a thread the needle pose. This is a twist, but it also feels really great in the shoulders and upper back. So we'll start by reaching the right arm all the way up over our head. So we're twisting open to the right. And then as you exhale, thread the needle. The right arm goes through the left limbs, come all the way down onto your right shoulder. You can either just press your left hand, maybe tint your fingertips into the ground, and you can use the arms as leverage to gently twist the spine. Certainly if you have disc issues in your back, you want to be really careful with this. Inhale and exhale. Keep the gaze soft and steady. Just pick a spot somewhere on the wall or the ceiling or even a point in space. Inhale through the nose if you can. Exhale. Continue to let the breath flow. If you need to move the body at all in order to make more space for the breath, always do that. And on your next inhale, support yourself as you come up. And then back to hands and knees, and we'll take the other side. Inhale the left arm up. Exhale, thread the needle. Send the left arm through the right limbs. Come down to the shoulders. You can use the arms for leverage. I didn't say this on the first side, but sometimes it's nice to stretch this other arm up in the air and bring it around to the sacrum. And if you missed it on that first side, it's no big deal. You have other chances this week. Smoothing out the breath. And steady the gaze. On the inhale, we'll come back up to hands and knees. And then we're just going to walk our feet forward and come into a squat. Excuse me. So in the squat shape, heels can be on the ground, but they don't have to be. If you would like to, you could roll up a blanket and place it underneath your heels to give yourself more support. You might bring your hands in front of your heart in a prayer pose. Sometimes it's nice to slide your prayer pose down so the elbows stretch the thighs open more. You could also just place your fingertips on the ground. So lots of ways to squat. The idea here though is that we're opening up the hips and we're just finding the edge of our comfort zone and just hanging out there and knowing that we are safe, that we're secure, that even if we tip over or fall, the earth will catch us every time. Breathing in. And smooth diaphragmatic breaths. All the diaphragmatic breath really means is that we're moving the diaphragm. The diaphragm is just this muscle underneath the rib cage, so when we breathe we feel it expanding out from the front to the back and through the sides. It opens up like an umbrella as the lungs fill. Flattens and the ribs extend and expand. And then as you exhale and the ribs empty, the diaphragm domes back up and that umbrella of the rib cage closes. And when you're complete, we will come up to standing. Moments to hula hip a little bit. And we're going to move into Warrior 3. So with Warrior 3, you could do this facing a wall, using the wall for support. You could also turn and use the wall for support with your foot. So warrior three is balancing on one leg with the back leg and the spine as parallel to the floor as possible. So I find it helpful to place the hands on the hips, shift the weight to one side, in this case we'll go to the left side, and then I'm going to bend this knee out front, and then I'm going to kick that leg back, and in this case, because I'm facing the wall, I'm going to find the wall with my foot, and you might have to adjust how far away from the wall you are depending on how long your legs are. So kick back, and then I'm going to press my foot into the wall, and as I do, I can find more length along my spine. My back toes that are against the wall are pointing down, and that helps to keep my spine and my sacrum flat. Anchoring my eyes, just dropping the gaze. Lift the scruff of the neck, inhale here, and exhale. You can experiment with just lifting your leg away from the wall a little bit. We want to lift up through the inner thigh of that back standing leg. Balancing poses can be tricky if you're on a mat and on carpet or on a really squishy floor, so just give yourself lots of grace. Inhale and exhale, one breath at a time. You could also extend your arms out front if you want to. One more breath. And then we'll come all the way back to standing. Good, so shake that leg out, and then we'll take the other side. So I'm going to face the wall this time just to have a new experience. So hands on the hips, shifting the weight now to the right leg. Bring the left knee up. And then as you exhale, start to hinge at the hip crease, kind of shooting the torso forward and kicking the leg back. So the back toes are going to face the floor, and we're lifting up through the inside of the left leg. Use the wall for balance if you wish. In this case, you might even press your hands into the wall, or just do it with no wall. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale and exhale. Last one. And exhale. Good. Come all the way back to standing. And sweep your arms up overhead. Exhale, dive yourself forward. Step back to downward facing dog. And then we're going to breathe this right leg up behind us. Just give it a little kick. And then as you exhale, send the right knee forward behind the right wrist. And we'll take pigeon pose. So you can do a closed leg pigeon or an open knee pigeon. So what that means is that you can tuck your right heel underneath your pelvis a little more, keeping the hips pointing forward, and then fold yourself forward. Or you can bring your right shin more parallel to the front edge of your mat so that the hip is more open. Either way, it might feel good to shove a blanket or a cushion or a block underneath your hips so that that little space between your pelvis and the floor is filled up. The floor rises up, or your prop rises up to support you. Breathing in to extend through the crown, and then as you exhale, just start to surrender forward. Breathing into those nooks and crannies where you're holding the most resistance. Exhale to release. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale and exhale. Just let the breath kind of fill you up. It's like a wave rising. And then let it recede and carry out any tension. One more round of breath here. If it feels good and you want to stay longer, go ahead. Otherwise, we'll come right back up, hands under the shoulders, and then just lift your hips up and step back to downward dog. And then we'll take the other side. So in this case, you're going to kick the left leg up. And then as you exhale, pull the left knee behind the left wrist. You can swing your left heel or foot closer to your right wrist if you want that open leg pigeon, or you can pull your left heel underneath your hips. Feel free to fill in that gap underneath your pelvis, and then we'll exhale and fold ourselves forward. You can rest on your forearms, your elbows. You might make fists and stack them up so that you have a spot to rest your head. Or maybe there's a pillow within arm's reach, so conveniently located. But either way, we breathe into the body, into the chest and the belly and the hips. And as we exhale, we just let go of whatever we don't want to hold anymore. Breath is very telling. Just listen to the body breathe. Just a couple more simple rounds. Whenever you're feeling complete there, just let the inhale kind of escort you back up. Lifting up, supporting you with your arms. And we'll step back to downward facing dog. And then from down dog, tiptoe your feet forward about halfway. Spin around on your mat. We've just got two other poses and then Shavasana. So with your knees bent, feet hip distance apart, we're just going to peel the spine off the floor, starting with the tailbone, all the way up into a nice, beautiful bridge pose. You can stretch your arms lengthwise down toward your heels, or if you wish, you could bend your elbows and support your hips with your hands. If you've got a block, you might place your block underneath your sacrum. Just depends how you want to meet this pose, with a lot of effort or with a little more grace. Maybe you want to receive a little more support here in the evening as you wind down. Inhale, exhale. Feel and receive the breath. That breath is prana. It's existed long before any of us did. So just let it pour into your being. And then just offer it as you exhale. And finally releasing. And our last pose is an inversion. We're going to come into a shoulder stand. So sometimes it's nice just to kick your legs up and lift your hips away from the mat and support your back. So that could look something like this. You're just lifting through the balls of the feet rather than pointing through the toes. And the gaze stays straight up. We do not want to turn our neck from side to side while we're in this shape. And the weight of the body is actually resting on the shoulders, not so much the neck. So you may have to shift a little bit in order to achieve that. You could certainly use a wall, or you could just alternatively just do legs up a wall, where the torso and the hips stay down, but the legs are just kind of leaning up against the wall so that you're more at like a 90-degree angle. And that is recommended if you happen to be pregnant or menstruating. For sure menstruating, but if you're pregnant in your first trimester, that can be a nice alternative. Breathing in, breathing out. Good. When you're complete, just release yourself down. Rest on your back. You can have your legs out straight, or you can rest your knees against each other. Shimmy the shoulders down, take up some space. And certainly cover up with a blanket. And settle into Shavasana. I invite you to rest in Shavasana as long as you wish. Generally 5 to 20 minutes is delightful. When you feel complete, bring yourself back up and feel free to finish with the meditation of the day. And I'm wishing you restful, sacred sleep. Namaste.